morning, everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. We are coast to coast, mostly. Except today, because Max isn't here.
We're like coast in the middle of the country, and
Right?
then we'll get the East Coast tomorrow. He might be covered in snow for all we know. I don't know.
Yeah, tough to say. Tough to say. He probably hurt himself shoveling.
He probably threw a back out. Hey, I saw on the news today, obviously Phillip Rivers' son, Gunnar Rivers, is going to be going to NC State and following his dad's footsteps. I've not watched any of his play in high school or anything of that level. Do we know if he's on the track of his dad, or is he going to be decent, or I don't know, maybe stat guy, maybe you might see that in high school football?
You're muted for some reason. I got you.
There we go. I don't think he's as good as his dad, but he's still going to be a solid college quarterback because he's one of those pro-style quarterbacks. And that's how a lot of college systems are now kind of gravitating toward. They're getting away from like the West Coast. They're getting away from a lot of this stuff and going to more of that pro-style quarterback system. So at least Gunner's got plenty of experience in that.
Yeah, I mean, his dad even at his age, when he came out and played with the Colts, I mean, that was phenomenal. He's not an elite quarterback or anything like that, but he held his own. And at that age, coming off the couch, that's crazy to me.
Right.
I mean, the conditioning, taking football hits, and you haven't taken a football hit in, 5 years? That's nuts.
Well, and especially to debut against the Seahawks, who come to hit you.
Right.
So,
well, you know better than anybody on this panel about what it takes to get back in football shape if you've been on the couch for a little bit.
Oh, it is rough. Hey, there he is. Can't hear you though. Nope. It's the right amount of volume, but
I think we had that issue yesterday too when he first got on, where he couldn't get the.
Yeah, I don't know what it's almost every day when you log in.
It's like today is Pag's picture show. Remember picture show? Pag's picture show. He just holds up pictures of what he's saying.
Yes. Yeah, he's just throwing cards.
Bang.
Is that better?
There we go.
You can hear me now?
Awesome.
How's everybody doing this morning?
Good.
So far, so good.
I think my voice is coming back. I was losing my voice there for a little bit. Now it's starting to come back now. So that's always good.
We will get to baseball there, Brad. But first, I want to start this off with LaMelo Ball gets in a car wreck, and it's funny because he's getting asked about it in a post-game presser. He didn't really appreciate the question so much, but looking at this wreck is hilarious. Like, I don't know what he was doing, but man, he's not even close to his side of the road.
How were you kind of made aware that the other person in the accident was also okay? I know she did suffer some injuries.
Oh, no, I seen her get straight out the car.
Can you put into words the last 24 hours with you, how it's been emotional for you to have to deal with that and then come here and play a game tonight on top of that?
I'm just alive, blessed for real. So God is great, like I said.
LaMelo, you did.
And then he just gets up and bounces out. But it's funny because, like, you're not even kind of close to your side of the road.
No.
Like, both wheels are over the double yellows, and you're just driving over the front of her car. Like, I don't.
And
do you think he went down to touch the radio and maybe was adjusting the radio and just kind of slid over and didn't realize it?
I've used the radio in my car for over 20 years, and I have never left my side of the road. And we used to like change CDs and cassette tapes and stuff. Like you'd be digging through a Case Logic book, driving with your knee, and I didn't do any of this.
What was he driving? That looked like a Hummer. Was that some kind of a Hummer he was driving?
Yeah, it looks like it's one of the electric ones.
Okay.
And well, he drives like he wears his pants.
Yeah. Oh, wow. He really just said hell.
Oh, yeah, like took off her.
That's his tire got ripped off.
Yeah.
Like he straight mashed this car. It.
Damn.
I mean,
She's like,
What
"Do
a
you want your tire back?"
It's kind of funny that the car actually took the impact better than the Hummer did.
Yeah, well, it's because it's low enough that it's squared up on the tire.
Wow, she just jumped right out of the car too.
She was
did.
going for blood.
I mean,
Hell
you're
yes, she did.
you're driving along on your side of the road and someone drives over the front of your car. I mean,
She's like, "Hey, come back here. You got insurance?"
he's definitely not driving away.
Right.
No, he's not driving away. He definitely is not.
But yeah, it
The
was
fact that his Hummer fell apart like that.
yeah, crazy, right? I mean,
I want to know, is that a composite though? I mean, they don't really make Hummers like they had back in the day, right? They're more
no,
composite now,
these
right?
aren't. Yeah, these aren't military style. Like these are some bull. But but yeah, I mean, she squared up on the tire with the front of the car. So if he was a little bit shorter, I think it would have fared better because it would have hit some of the bumper to help lift the truck first. But for her to just like straight into the tire, yeah, it's
Well, she didn't do anything. He went
He
straight
did.
with his tire into her car.
yes.
Yeah.
So
But oh yeah, it was anyway. It didn't have a lot for basketball, but I thought that one was funny, especially because he was really indifferent to the situation. He's just like, yeah, I don't know.
Let me just go ahead and leave this situation because I'm starting to feel uncomfortable in this seat.
Right.
and then his pants are down.
And then your pants are down to your ankles.
I
What a
never
time to
get
be
that.
alive.
Like if you were sagging a little bit, sure, but I mean, like they're like for him to be walking, he's got to be holding them up.
Oh, if only they knew what that meant in prison, which is where it all started from. They probably wouldn't. Well, maybe they still would. They don't care.
So if we're gonna talk about basketball, we might as well ask Jay. How do you feel about Houston having their third loss in a row, going from number 5? They're probably going to go to about number 18 or 20. Kansas gives them their third loss in a row. How is
Yeah.
Houston feeling right now?
Sorry, Bob, I couldn't hear the last part of that question. Could you please repeat? No. I'm kidding. How do I feel about it? It's not good. It's not good. We were in a pretty good spot up until I think we took that third loss, and then once we took that third loss, we kind of just. But you know what? Look, like I know, man, it's a sport of momentum. I'm not going to be too worried about it. As long as they stay in contention for the March Madness, which is coming up very, very soon. Once you go into that level, it's 0-0, and everybody's going to start off with an even playing field, and we'll see how they do there. But I'm not worried about it just yet. But it is a level of concern, and it doesn't feel good, Pags.
I was going to say, is it something that they have, just kind of like, hey, let's relax a minute and prepare ourselves for the March Madness?
They're sandbagging for the bracket.
Well, I mean, there's a thought process to that. I mean, not for nothing, but when you're the number 1 seed, there is a lot of pressure for you to make it. And I understand that, hey, you play against Sister Mary the Poor from the 116s, and then you got an 8 or 9, and then you got the 4, which is really the game where you get the most. That Friday game or Thursday game in week 2 of the tournaments.
One of the biggest things, Kelvin Sampson came out, I want to say about maybe a month ago, and he was very kind of disparaged with the NIL situation, kind of talking about how Houston, we can pay our athletes what we think they're worth, but at the same time, our school is broke, and it really kind of put a negative tone in the conversation at Houston. So I don't know what was maybe going on behind their scenes over there, but typically Houston is known as a defensive team. I mean, they make good shots, but they're primarily a defensive-minded team. And the fact they got blown out by 13 points, 69-56, I think was your final.
Correct.
They just lost a little bit of that defensive edge. And I think he's going to – look, one thing I know about Kelvin Sampson, when he goes into March Madness, he puts on a good product. He does. And he's a very disciplined coach. So I'm not 100% worried right now. We're at the number 5 spot. I mean, we're not down in the water yet, but I'm sure he's having some conversations with his team and being like, look, guys, hey, we got March Madness coming up in a week or two. Time to shift the gear. I'm sure he's having hard conversations with them.
Well, they'll probably go down to number 12. I mean, and not for nothing, I mean, holding Kansas to 69 points. Kansas is a good team.
Mhm.
So it's not like that they stopped playing defense. It's just that you got to score more than 69 points if you're going to beat Kansas. And I guess they were probably only like, 30% from the field.
Well, you're
So-
shooting 21% at the 3-point line. Maybe that's a problem right there.
Well, that tells me that you shouldn't be shooting them all from the 30-point line, that you should start to
Yeah.
drive in a little bit.
100%. 100%.
And if you're going to be playing defense, that means you're getting rebounds, which means that you need to start putting, the ball into the paint and scoring from the paint.
Mhm.
Just my opinion. Again, they don't pay me a lot of money to
That's
talk about basketball.
what Michigan found out the hard way against Duke on Saturday. They found out why Duke's the number one defensive team in the country. Duke held them to 27 or 28 points below their season average, and Michigan was forced to settle for threes because Duke didn't let them get inside.
Right. So, and I
Well-
feel like that there's a lot of that's going to happen. You're going to see a very unique March Madness this year. And I would look at, I don't know enough about it, but I would look at these teams that have more juniors and seniors than freshmen and sophomores, and did not get a lot of movement in the NIL to do really well. Or in the transfer portals. maybe a better way.
Normally I would agree with that, but right now I think the two teams to beat are Michigan and Duke.
I think definitely Michigan.
Michigan
Definitely Michigan.
Michigan and Duke are both 25-2. They both played each other this week, and Duke beat them by 5. But the
Yeah.
thing that Duke has over anybody else in the country right now is they've played the most quad 1 games of any team in the country right now. I think they played like 14 quad 1 games when you look at all the ranked opponents they've played and like teams that were ranked that aren't ranked anymore. And they're like 12-2 in their quad 1 games. So they've had one of the hardest schedules in the country, if not the hardest schedule. And their only 2 losses were a buzzer-beating loss to North Carolina 2 weeks ago, and then Texas Tech beat them like 72-71 on a neutral court earlier in the year. But they've gone through Kansas, they've gone through Arkansas, Michigan State, they've gone through Michigan. Like they've gone through a gauntlet of a schedule, and they're sitting at 25-2 right now. And it's pretty much all freshmen. They have 5 new starters in their starting 5 this year because they lost Cooper Flake, Cohen Knipple, and that freshman group last year. They didn't bring anybody into the program this year via transfer portal like they did last year. Last year, Duke brought in, I think, 5 guys through the portal. This year, they brought in 0. They have 5 new starters, and 3 of them are freshmen. A couple of them are sophomores and juniors. Like, they're a deep and loaded team that just has experience.
I've always found it interesting that Michigan and Michigan State always seem to be in somewhere in that top 15. Michigan has a good basketball program in the state as a whole. They've always had a pretty good Tom Rizzo in them. They've always had a pretty good, spot out there.
Mhm.
I wouldn't look past UConn either, because UConn can always jump in that thing quick and in a hurry too. That's another really
UConn
solid-
is one of those teams that I was talking about, that they didn't have a lot of movement in the NIL.
right.
They have a lot of guys that have played 2 and 3 years together. So I mean, they've had some freshmen actually come in and stuff like that. Again, like Houston was number 5, but that says UConn's number 5. So it's interesting to me. It's like all right. So at least they're both up that way. I think that UConn is going to be a number 1 seed going into the draft. I don't start drawing a draft into the March Madness. I don't foresee anybody beating them in the Big East.
Right.
Villanova's just not as strong since Jay Wright left. It
I think
just
St.
isn't.
John's will be the only team that can do it.
I'll tell you this though, Pax. I know you asked about Houston and the fact that they're on that skid, but it's not like they're playing like crappy teams. I mean, Arizona is a number 4 school. Kansas, I'm not sure where Kansas is ranked at, but they always have a pretty good.
They were
basketball
14 when
program.
they played, so it's not like that. They're. It's not Sister Mary of the Poor here. They're not
No.
losing against bad teams, but they have lost 3 in a row. And the first one, you could understand, like, okay, when you have that first loss, sometimes you have a poor effort that second time. It's the third game in a row that it makes you, it brings up a touch of concern. That, like, hey, what's going on with the team that it's creating a mental aspect that they can't get over? Why have they gone 3 in a row? Now they're about to play Colorado, who is just above Sister Mary the Poor. You know what I mean? So they should be able to destroy them here, and it could be a get-right game for them in a good way. But
well, and here's the thing though: when they played Kansas, they had 14 fouls. When they played Arizona, they had 24 fouls, and that tells me that that's very atypical, or not atypical. It's very untypical. I don't know what the word is for that, but they don't typically do that level of lack of discipline. He's always had a very disciplined team. Kelvin Sampson has, and when I see 24 fouls, that tells me they're playing undisciplined ball. When they're getting out rebounded, when they're getting outshot at the 3-point line. Now their free throw did pretty good. They shot 100% from the free throw line, but the 3-point line and the lack of foul or the fouls that they're committing. That's just a lack of discipline, and I think that's something that he can get back on point, But you're gonna have to get it quick in a hurry because it's coming up soon.
Yeah, and just to answer your question, Donna, I don't know that he's going to ever get traded, and I think he's stuck on the Sixers for life, and it's just going to be, we got to deal with what we got to deal with because if they ever do or were to trade him. He's not going to, he's not going to garner any of the return that he could have maybe 3 years ago.
For sure.
So, and that's the big deal. I mean, I think that, the Sixers are a little bit on the cursed side.
We got some fun little news from the UFL because it's kind of something that we've all talked about on the panel for a while now. So with the era of what they call the long field goal now, where pretty much all these kickers are just going out there kicking a 60-yard field goal like it's a 35, 40-yarder nowadays.
Yep.
The UFL is now making 60 to 64-yard field goals worth 4 points and 65-plus worth 5 points.
Wow.
They are also eliminating all punts inside the opponent's territory. So if you're on the opponent's 49-yard line and in, you're not allowed to punt. You have to attempt the field goal.
And this is in USFL? Is that what you said?
Yep, this is in the UFL, which is typically the first step of the NFL adopting this rule, which is how that kickoff rule came into play and how some of the new instant replay things that the NFL has done with like the virtual measurement that started in the UFL. They had success. They brought it to the NFL. So this is probably the first step to see this go from the UFL to the NFL for the field goal points.
Yeah, I don't know that they'll do it for the NFL, but
not a 5-pointer, at least.
No, I think they go 4. I think they'll go 4. I don't think they'll go 5, but I could see them doing the same thing where no punting allowed inside the 50. You have to go for it or you got to kick the field goal since all these guys.
Well, I don't know that that's a good rule to have. I'll be honest. I feel like that, first off, most of the time anyways, as long as it's like if you got like a 4th and 7 and you are on that side of the 50, that there is, 7.5 times out of 10 you're going for it.
Right.
But I don't like it because now like you are creating a situation where, hey, it's 2nd and 16 on the 48-yard line. So instead of going for it, or 3rd and 16 on the 48-yard line. Now I'm going to go backwards 3 yards and kneel.
Exactly. Well,
and
you don't even have to do that. You just got to have a false start or illegal procedure or whatever. Get the 5-yard penalty.
What I don't like about that, and what you're talking about, Dustin, is I feel like you're taking away strategy from the game, and I hate when they take away strategy. I don't like it when they did the shift and they took away the shift out of baseball. I didn't like that. I feel like you're taking away a strategy. I don't like it when you're taking away a punt inside that's just taking away from strategy, and I don't like that because I think you're limiting what the coach can do now.
I mean,
and that's what I like. I like the strategy side of it.
They've done that for years, though. That's one of the reasons why they brought the hash marks in, because the hash marks used to be out where college was. Yeah. And 3rd down used to be a dive play to the middle so that your field goal kicker could even make the kick. So, right. I mean, they've always been tweaking rules through the years. Now, that one happened back in the 80s for those of you that maybe don't remember that are watching. But yeah, I mean – so those little tweaks come no matter what, but I do think that's a terrible rule. Like that would be an awful thing to do. Now, as much as everybody goes for it on 4th down now anyway, it may not matter. right?
Right.
I mean, you got guys going for it on their own 25. So, I mean, who knows?
But that's a huge tweak, though, Bo. Do you think that if you get to the 50 or inside the 50, that you're forced to do a field goal? I mean, that or instead of being able to punt, that's not a small tweak. That's a huge tweak.
No. I don't like it because, like, if that rule was, if you're, I mean, there's not even a line that I would like that at, because, you know, if the rule was if you're inside the 30, you can't punt. Well, it doesn't matter because you wouldn't anyway. So,
Right.
But you know, if you're inside the 50, I mean, sure, if you got a kicker that can do it, but not everybody has that personnel. So if you're getting rid of your punter, then
Well, I guess this becomes a matter of the juiced ball. This is where if they're going to keep the rule with them playing with the ball the way that they want to, you know, and then ultimately you also run into that. I would prefer, you know, that obviously you have the 1 point extra point, you have the 2 point extra point.
Right.
You could go back and put it at the 45-yard line to go for a 3 point extra point, you know, where you're kicking like a 58-yard field goal, or even go for a 4 point, like where you could have a 10-point touchdown where you're kicking the ball at, you know, like, all right, so we're going to line up at the 50 to kick a field goal, you know, for like a 65-yard field goal, and that be a, you know, like I said, a 4 point extra point. The thing is that you have to give them the opportunity to be able to return those balls. Or like if they're doing blocks, that's a 4 point play in the opposite direction. So it's gotta work for both teams. You know what I mean? So, because you want to sell out a little bit then. Now you want to sell out and try to block that ball and such. It's like, oh, you're going to go for a 4 point 4 point extra point. I want to block this one so that it's like, if you're going to try to make it like that, that's what I see.
Well, and I mean, the odds of you blocking one of those goes way up, right? Because the angle coming out
It's going to be
is a lot lower to get the distance. So, I mean, you know, if you're trying that 65+ yarder, I mean, those things.
And we've seen some of those get blocked, haven't we? I'm not saying
a
few of those get blocked for sure.
Hey, it started out at the beginning of the season. That's how the Eagles season began against the Rams. They blocked 2 field goals in a row to win that game.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's blocked field goals are going to become more and more a thing.
Yep.
And it's going to be a matter of how they set up for it on defense. Like that's what really is going to become, because you're not allowed to line up on the center. So you're not going to get that push there. But you may want to have the guy who's 6'8", who can jump really high in that position. Like you're going to want to have like your wide receivers who can jump for the ball, be almost as a linebacker,
Right.
and start to like go like that, because that's where you're going to get some of those plays. Not that these linemen aren't big guys anyways, but thinking about Jordan Mailata, who's already 6'8", 6'9", you know, lining up as a linebacker, running up and jumping as high as he can to get ball. Now you got to get that ball like over 10 foot in a very short span, which means that it's going to come down quicker. I mean, I figure that's trajectory. We talk about this about baseball all the time.
Right.
I mean, to be honest with you, if I was a special teams coach, I'd be going to my head coach and be like, look, I'm going to go find me some basketball players that are like 6'10", 6'11", and they're only going to come in to block punts. That's their only specific job.
Or field goals. Field goals.
Exactly. Just on the field goals. Because I think you're right. With the lower line angle now for those longer ones, if you got a 6'10", 6'11", and then he puts his hands up, now he's over 7 feet tall, well, you can actually get that ball and block.
Well, you think about that. If somebody who's 7 foot tall, they have a wingspan of about 7 foot, 8 foot. So that means when they put their hands up, it's already another 3 foot. So now you're at 10 foot. Now you have them jump a little bit. You know what I mean? Some of these basketball players are good. They can jump 1.5 foot or 2 foot. Not that if you're 8 foot tall already, you can't dunk the ball. I mean, Wembanyama doesn't have to do anything to dunk a ball. He can
No,
just
not at all.
bang. You know what I
Bam.
mean? But
Yep.
imagine him jumping a little bit and having to get over top of him. Well, now you got to get that ball over 12 foot.
He should have jumped last night because a 6'10" guy posterized him last night.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. But
And Brad, probably. I'd be surprised if they don't make it.
yeah, they're
the
just
guy-
not doing real well right now.
The
Villanova.
guy in the Pistons, Jaron Duran, posterized Victor Wembanyama last night with a dunk.
You see,
See,
they got a kid now in college that's 7'9". Have you
Yeah,
seen this
the guy
kid?
in Florida.
That guy is ridiculously tall. Like, holy crap. I mean, and I guess it's just genetics and human nature, right? We're getting taller and taller and taller, it seems like, as we go along. I mean, when are we going to see the next 8-foot kid? I mean,
Have you ever seen
it's crazy.
the guy in Florida shoot a 3-pointer?
No, is he good?
He's got to shoot a 3-pointer like he's shooting a free throw, like he can't jump.
Yeah.
He's 7'9". He's literally just got to go up and just kind of toss it up like this because he can't jump.
Is
He's
that long leg gonna be
7'9". How much does he weigh?
I think 290.
yeah, I was
All
going to
right,
say.
so
it's gotta be
he's
close
got some
to
weight
Bills,
to him
right?
then.
Yeah, he's actually a pretty big guy.
Yeah, that's because that's the biggest thing. Like that was the one thing I thought about with Wembanyama was that hey, listen, this guy's gonna get eaten up a little bit until he grows into his body. Like
Yeah,
Shaq.
Did you see
He's
when
from-
did you
yeah,
see when
he's
Chet
7
Holmgren, when Chet Holmgren first came to the Thunder? He was on the injured list like the first year or two
Yeah,
because his body was having an issue.
at age 15, this guy was 7'4", and he's 7'9.5", 306 pounds.
Jesus.
So he's got some meat to him too. Olivia Roux is his name. He's from Canada and he plays for the Gators.
Now that's a guy. If I was a special teams, I'd grab that kid because he's got some weight and he's got some height, and that's perfect for what I need him to do.
Yeah, but he shot I think he shot 3 threes on Saturday, and it's just hilarious because he can't jump at all. So he just gets up to the free throw line, just like short arms it like he's shooting a free throw because he can't jump. Otherwise, he's going to overshoot the hoop by a mile.
I mean, that makes sense though. Like, if you're that tall, you're almost shot putting it because
He's like pop a shot, just pop a shot everything from the perimeter.
you almost don't even get to have any arc to it.
There goes the line drive.
All of a sudden, he's doing the like underhand baskets, like a granny shot.
That is awesome. That is awesome. But yeah,
That's the other thing about that. When you're like 8 foot tall, you could almost play like pop a shot when you're shooting a foul shot.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could just stick your arm out and just kind of push the ball into the basket.
I mean, his Euro steps got to be amazing.
If you're that tall, I don't want to see you get boxed out.
Well, if you're that tall and that heavy,
That's what I mean. Yeah.
you can't be that. Like that's Shaq. That
It is
when you're
Shaq.
8 foot tall, he should own the league. The first thing you're doing is you're teaching him how to keep 1 foot out of the zone.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you are planting there, which means that you're running back and forth. I know you can hit 3-pointers, but I don't ever want you to hit a 3-pointer.
Exactly.
I want you in the paint all the time. So you better learn how to go back and forth and make sure you don't have 3-second violations.
I mean, if that's not a prime candidate for the alley-oop, I don't know what is. That's a straight 2 points every time.
I mean, he
Just sit next to the
barely
goal,
ever
I'll toss it up and you're good.
he barely ever plays it, too, which is kind of funny.
That's
you,
provided
Pags.
he can jump.
Yeah, he barely
Well,
ever
not only
plays
that,
it.
but it's not. He doesn't need to jump if he's doing that, because again, if he's 8 foot tall, he's got his hand already above the basket. But you better start.
I was talking about the alley-oop shot. Like
Well, that's what I'm talking about. He could catch it above the basket and just dunk it.
Yeah, well, but you're going to have a tall defender down there if he's posted up. So I mean,
And is it goaltending if your team shoots the ball and you stop it
Mhm.
and put it in?
Yeah. It's offensive
Is that
goaltending.
considered?
Yeah,
Is that
there is-
considered goaltending?
Yeah, it's
there is
offensive
offensive
goaltending.
goaltending, yeah.
But I think it would have to be on the downward part of the shot for it to be goaltending.
Well,
right?
it
If it's on
adds
the
what it is,
upward
but
shot, I
I'm
don't
saying
think
that
it
you're
would
on
be.
offense. If you're on offense and you catch the ball because you think it's going to hit the rim or whatever, and then you put it in, is that goaltending, like offensive goaltending? I don't know that there is a rule for that.
As long
The
as
only
it's
thing I
not,
remember
as
about
long as it's not
goaltending is
coming
it had to
down,
be on the downward part of the shot. That
Or
would
if
be
it's over
considered
the cylinder.
goaltending.
The only way it's goaltending is if it's on the downward trend, or if it's directly over the cylinder.
On defense.
On offense too. If the ball's over the cylinder, you cannot touch it on offense. Otherwise, that is considered offensive goaltending. You
Then
have
Yeah,
how
that's
is
why-
it? Then
that's why
how
you-
is
that's
it
why
that
you're a
they
little bit in
do
front of the
alley
cylinder.
oops?
because
It's all-
alley-oops are off to the side. You're off to the side. You
Yeah.
catch it and then you put it down. Like if the ball's like directly over the cylinder and he puts his hand like up like this and taps it down, that's goaltending because you have to let the ball hit the cylinder and then see how it's going to roll off the cylinder.
Yeah.
Which makes it perfect because then you have 1 foot out of the target area, so you're not going to be called for that 3-second violation, and it's a perfect shot every time.
We'll have to see. Obviously, this kid's what, like sophomore?
Yeah, he barely plays. He redshirted as a freshman. This year he's playing less than 3 minutes a game, so he barely plays right now. So that leads me to believe that either A, he didn't play much basketball in high school, and they just said, you're freaking ginormous, come and try out for college basketball because you're huge, or he just is not a very polished player yet.
Well, I'm assuming
Well,
it's the second part.
And not only that, I would also believe that they are doing that specifically to save his knees.
See, I mean, he went to IMG Academy, so it's not like he went to like a not very good basketball school because IMG Academy is one of the best basketball prep high schools in the country. So
Right.
he went to like one of those schools, so he had to have at least had, even if it's minimal basketball experience, he had to have at least something to get like teams like Florida to take a look at him. Because even if you're 7'9", if you've never played basketball before in your life, that's not something you can just jump into at 18, 19 years old and expect to do something right away.
I don't know. They did it with Elijah one. They went and
Yeah,
got
but
Elijah one
no,
off a soccer
but they
field
also-
in Nigeria.
But they also gave him 2 years
Mhm.
of learning the game. That they taught him strictly how to play the
Yeah, of
game.
course.
Which is
Yeah.
probably what they're doing with this guy, is what I can think. If he's redshirted as a freshman and now he's only getting like 3 minutes a game, they're probably taking that similar approach.
Imagine this guy on hockey skates. He's from Canada. Imagine him
They
on
had
hockey
it.
skates.
Remember Manute Bowl? Manute Bowl like a
Manute
praying
Bol,
mantis on
Manute Bol
skates.
played on the Sixers, so I
Can you imagine
remember
if he was-
him.
Can you imagine if he
Sean
was a
Bradley?
pitcher? Can you imagine if he was a pitcher and the extension he could get off the mound?
Well, yeah, it's Randy Johnson at that point.
So he's a foot
Pretty
taller
much,
than Randy
yeah.
Johnson at that
Exactly.
point. Like you'd be throwing, instead of 60 feet 6 inches, to be like a 49-foot pitch for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting stuff. Since
I
we're
love
talking
Randy
about all these
Johnson.
rules, the NFL is not expected to propose to ban the tush push.
Yeah.
All
No,
that talk last year.
It sounds like they're curbing it because every other team started doing it. Every team has found a way to successfully do it. So the guys that don't have a quarterback that can do it, they get the tight end to do it. That's what Seattle had been doing. Now there's still some teams that can't figure anything out. Cardinals, we're looking at you.
no, we're not throwing shots at the Cardinals, but
Or the Colts.
You know.
The Colts can't do it. Anybody who doesn't have a good interior offensive line, you need to have the 3 men have to be great offensive linemen. You know,
I'm
like
surprised Dallas
interestingly enough,
hasn't done that. We haven't done the tush push in Dallas, and I think we have.
that's
a
what I was
great-
going to say. I'm surprised that they
Yeah.
don't do it in Dallas. That tells me that you don't get a lot of 3rd and 1s or 4th and 1s.
Yeah.
That's really what's going on with that. But
If you guys would still have Ezekiel Elliott, he would have been the perfect guy to be the back part of the tush push. Just snap
Yeah.
the deck and have Ezekiel Elliott just plow his butt forward.
Well, Dak's got a good amount of weight to him. Dak's not a small guy. I mean, you could have Dak do it, have Zeke just push up Dak's butt and push him over the line. I mean, that would work too. I mean,
and not for nothing, Dak is also smart enough to be able to see where the weakness is on the left or the right side. Because ultimately, that's what you're doing. You are you'd be calling it like, "Hey, Omaha or Tucson, go!" It's like, "Hey, Omaha being left, Tucson's right." Bang, and you're just choosing which way you want to slide into. I'm surprised that they don't do it more.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it does not look to be proposed at all this year. No team is going to do that. And
Well, I think
realistically, the Eagles actually had a hard time this year doing it.
And I think
It
that's
was no
why
longer
Seattle-
92%.
I think that's why it's getting shelved, because more teams kind of figured out how to stop it. And if they don't stop it on every attempt, they've kind of figured out more ways to make it a lot more difficult to convert.
Yeah.
And they've seen that the Eagles, for example, they've seen that you can force quarterbacks to turn it over on the tush push. So it's not like once the team's figured out how to stop it, it's like just start ripping at the ball. Someone's going to drop it eventually.
Yeah, I mean, the success rate's going down, and other people's ability to perform has gotten better. So I'm not surprised that they're not talking about it. I think the only conversation that's going to continue to build is the officiating of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, can they get that a little bit tighter so that you're not seeing the false starts that don't get called, stuff like that?
And this is a good one. NFL moles allowing replay officials to throw flags.
Yep.
That's going to be a big deal. We talked about this last year, that I thought that it would be a good idea to eventually start to having the eye in the sky call flags, that it would be the other, and like, you can't have them call holding penalties, but you should have them be able to call face masks.
Yeah.
That was the big deal
PI.
this year.
Or even PI that they don't call.
Also, that's a gray area. I have a feeling that if they're going to allow this, this is going to be for very specific calls.
Roughing the pass.
And I think the tush push is part of that, because then they get, like you said, the bird eye in the sky. They're gonna, and all that offsides is gonna get called much cleaner, like Bo's asking for. So yeah, I could see them doing that. The tush push has been such a big controversial thing. Why would they not want to do that? You know.
Well, obviously they're talking about it, so I'm not exactly sure how this is going to be, and they are very specific, like that this could turn into a Pandora's box, and they do not want that to be the case either. They want to be able to be smart about this.
Yeah.
And I think that if you did it too much, like I think it should be certain things that are fairly egregious that are missed during, like, hey, targeting. I think real targeting should be able to be replayed and get, able for a flag. Face masks. There were a lot of face masks and a lot of people whose heads, helmets got turned sideways and were not calls. Those are things that definitely should get looked at and such like that. But I don't think you can do it for pass interference. I think you have to keep that on the field.
Passer you can, because there's a lot of times where the quarterback gets hit in the helmet and they don't throw the flag.
Yes. I think that there has to be a little bit of variation to that rule. So if you are going to SWAT and you happen to graze the guy's helmet, which is there's a lot of times where they're throwing the flag for stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
No,
but I think that if you see somebody and he swats and he hits the guy dead in the helmet, that should be no bueno.
Yeah, I mean, it should be obvious, forcible contact.
Correct.
Or like the whole putting all your body weight on a quarterback. There's a lot of times where the defender hits the quarterback like in the legal window, and as he's taking him to the ground, you can actually see the player kind of turn to the side to avoid like the full body weight. But yet they still call the roughing the passer for the full body weight. Like, that's another one where you could throw the flag and be like, you can see the guy turning his body as he's going to the ground. He's not putting his full weight on him.
Well, I like what Pags is saying about the egregiousness stuff that should be called, but I don't want it to get so much called that you take away from the contact. It's still a contact sport, and I don't want to see the contact go away. But again, egregious stuff like spearing, like using the crown of your helmet, face mask where you're turning the guy's head. Okay, I get that. But don't get so much so,
So that'll be the thing, right? Is they're going to have to try and figure out exactly where it is they call those things. So if they do roll this thing out, there's going to be some situations where you're going to be like, it probably wasn't necessary there. But the good thing about the NFL is they are really good at correcting rule changes if they go too far. So like when you're looking at the leagues, the NFL waits a long time to implement stuff. And then when there's tweaks to it, they're very smart about it.
Yeah.
They're about as polar opposite of the NCAA as you could get.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also hope that they get a bigger definition put down on the taunting penalty.
Oh,
Yeah.
I want them to become a little bit more particular. I understand that this is the no fun league and that they want to make sure that you aren't standing over top of somebody and being like, I got you, you know, like stuff like that. Like that's not what they're trying to do. They don't want the celebration after every tackle.
I mean,
which is
remember when you couldn't celebrate a touchdown?
right.
Right.
And I'm like, why not? Damn, you know how hard it is to get to the end zone? I'm
No,
going to celebrate the hell out
used
of
to
that
be an
thing.
unsportsmanlike conduct. If you celebrated in the end zone,
Yeah.
they'd throw the flag. Like, it was wild.
Like, come on, man.
That was,
Yeah,
that was a weird era of football.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
But I don't like the idea of some of the things that they call as taunting. I think that it should be a lot less. I think it should be, again, it has to be almost an egregious taunt.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Just,
basically, you could actually have the video of Tariq Woolen, and that would be the exact definition of taunting, because you had the ref like, hey, we get it, cool, knock it off. Hey, knock it. You know what? Okay, bam. Here you go, 15-yarder. Thanks for
Right.
playing.
Like if it's a quick thing and then it's over, I think they should let that go. But you're right. If it's prolonged,
Well,
okay,
like
that
or
hurts
doing an offense, you make a great catch, and the defender happens to be somewhat close to you, and you just happen to throw the ball down and have it do a spiral thing, and they call that a 15-yard taunting penalty. I don't think that that's appropriate, because I don't believe. I mean, listen, you could have. You know, I'm not on the field and I'm not that guy thinking it, you know what I mean? But it's possible that he had no thought process on shoving it in that guy's face when he spun the ball. He's like, yeah, you know, like I just did that. It's like kind of doing the same first down. But because he kind of did that mini spike and had that ball spinning and the defender is somewhat close, they're calling it now a taunting penalty, and I don't like that.
You know what? I'm trying. I like the taunting. You know what? You want to be taunted? Play better.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
Play
thing,
better.
right? Like, if you don't want somebody, doing those things, stop them.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Like,
why I didn't
come
like
on.
the idea of banning the tush push. If you don't like it, play better on 1st and 2nd down, so they don't have 3rd and 1. Make them do it on 5.
I understand why they're doing this, though, because it's not really in the NFL that's the problem. They are the professional league, so they are trying to. You can't be in the high school level or
For sure.
junior levels doing that type of stuff, and these players emulate what the professionals do.
Well, not only that, but we're saying these things as full-on adults.
Mhm.
The players are young, and if you have somebody taunting you like that, they also don't want to see fights on the field. So,
Right.
because those things happen. I remember playing, and like fights happened anyway. So if you had people, punking you, especially in like a blowout, yeah, obviously fights could absolutely break out. So
You know what's funny though, Bo, is that we get mad when we see fights in football, but we don't get mad when we see fights in hockey. Those dudes, they have no problems. Now, yes, they get put in the penalty box, but still, it's part of the game.
There's
little bit,
also
right?
the fact that you can't wind up and deliver an insane haymaker on ice. You don't have
Yeah.
the footing that you do with cleats and grass.
Right. And it's with hockey and stuff like that. I mean, that always was a big part of the sport. And it's like it's the scrums in the middle of everything where it's like, okay, we are going back and forth and you're in that area. And do you ever have a hockey glove shoved in your face?
No, I had my mom's cooking mitt though.
Nope. It doesn't stink the same.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It stinks. You cannot and that's doing a face wash with a hockey glove is
Yeah.
like one of the worst things that you could do against anybody, and that pisses you off.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's just it's one of these things where in hockey it's a lot different. Like you can't have fights in football. You can't have fights. Like I love it when there's fights in baseball because you can tell that at that point it's like that's just trying to charge up your team. That's why managers get run. That's what you're supposed to do a little bit. That's why I was watching a video the other day about David Wells,
Mhm.
and how he was playing against Cleveland as the Yankees or whatever, and the pitcher for Cleveland like hit three guys. I don't think he meant to really hit three guys, but he hit three guys. And Dave is like, all right, I'm just going to hit the next batter. Well, the next batter was Albert Bell. And he plunked Albert Bell, and Albert Bell wasn't happy about it. Next, 2 pitches later, he gets called out on a double play. He's walking back to the now. David Wells doesn't want to be in Albert Bell's way on the mound, so he walked away from the mound because he wanted to see that. But he's watching, and Albert Bell goes into the dugout and grabs the pitcher and shakes him a little bit because it's he understood, and that's what Dave was. It's like he's like that guy knows baseball. He knows that this was a policing moment,
Right.
and he didn't hold it against me. He wasn't happy about it, but he didn't hold it against me. He held it against the right person because it was his fault for hitting the guys before. And that's what I love about baseball is that there is this self-policing.
Yeah.
And there are managers that go get thrown out of the game because they need to get thrown out of the game because they got to charge up their team somehow.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you can't have like bench clearing brawls.
Right.
No, in fact, sometimes when they're mic'd up, you've even heard a guy go out there and say, "Toss me."
Right.
Pretty much.
And my favorite part of baseball fights is when you watch the bullpens run in there. Like it's like, what are you guys gonna do? Because by the time you get over there, it's gonna be over anyway.
They should fight in the outfield.
Like,
Real quick.
They just
Real
come out
quick.
and fight
because
in
you
the
ever
outfield.
watch it, like the fight's already broken up by the time they're getting to the infield dirt. I'm
Yep.
like, what's the point? Like you're not gonna get there in time.
Yeah,
wanna
but
point out-
the thing is that, and I understand because they don't want to be one left out, two the one that's still sitting in the dugout and being like, I didn't stand up for my teammate.
Yeah.
But that's all it is. It's a show of support for the rest of the team.
For sure.
Right.
I mean, especially because baseball fights aren't real fights anyway. So I mean, it's just pushing and shoving and whatever. But
Unless you're Nolan Ryan.
then
Yeah.
Or like the time I think it was the Reds and the Cubs in 2004 when Kyle Farnsworth hit somebody. I forgot who it was, and the guy charged him out, and Kyle Farnsworth like straight up picked him up on the pitcher's mound, body slammed him, and gave him like 4 punches to the side of the head.
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while you get one. I mean, there was the one guy, he like clocked him and knocked the one guy out. They were like squaring up, and he went bam, and he just took like one of those blind swings and connected, and the guy was like, "Woo, done." You know?
Oh, yeah, it was definitely done.
And
It was
Jeremy,
definitely
this
done.
is you got to go to a little bit lower level hockey where they're 18 to like 22. Those guys fight all the time. So if you want to see a lot of fighting, NHL probably isn't it. Go hit those lower level hockey games because
Start watching Shorzy. Or I love the fact that they've now started the bare knuckle hockey,
Oh hell yeah!
the
You know,
boxing
real
matches
quick,
on ice.
You know, Randy Johnson. I like that guy. I loved watching him pitch because I remember he would throw the ball at Kenny Lofton's head, and he would do it several times. And then Kenny Lofton would try to go out there and fight him. Of course, they pulled Kenny Lofton back like, dude, you don't want to mess with Randy. Randy's a big boy. He's gonna jack you up.
I mean, he's got range on you.
You know what I'm saying? By the time you even get to the dirt of the mound, you done had about 4 fists to the face. Let's just calm down. And Randy's like, yeah, take that shit.
Well, that's like a Roldis Chapman back in
Oh,
his
Randy.
prime when he was throwing 104, 105. Even if he hit you, there was not one single person that wanted to go out there and take on a Roldis Chapman because that guy's built like a tank. Like
Yeah.
he would hit you and you'd like look at him like, okay, yeah, I got it. I'll go down to first. We're good. Like you never saw anyone want to charge the mound if he was out there because he's like, I'll throw this at you at 105 and I'll hit you where I want to.
But
I
I
don't
love Randy
know what
Johnson.
movie
I
it
think
was, but I remember there was this one character. He threw the ball and it kind of brushed him, and the guy was charging the mound, and he got the ball and he says, "I could throw this ball at 90 miles an hour. Do you really want to come out here?" The guy like backs down. I don't remember what movie it was, but I thought
Major League Back to the Minors when Hog threw it.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, I could throw this ball at 90 miles an hour. I thought that was great.
But
Which is not
I loved it when Randy Johnson, in the All-Star game, and John Kruk, he didn't want to face him. He's like, whoa, like he like kind of had one wing past his head, and he got all scared, and then he was like this trying to swing the bat. It was almost funny to watch that. I mean, Randy Johnson was great about stuff like that. Roger Clemens. Roger Clemens was one of those guys that was just very good at self-policing. And I'll never forget in the World Series where he threw at Victorino's head, and he's like, "No, you want to play defense, you want to police. You hit me in the chest, you don't aim for my head." And that whole thing happened that way. It was like, I remember that. I hated Roger Clemens, but you appreciate the greatness,
right?
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta. And that's a part of strategy, right? You get in their head like that, and then you can throw whatever you want to throw because they're too damn nervous that you're gonna hit them in the head. I mean,
that was Pedro Martinez. Pedro Martinez was the exact same way. He was like, "Hey, listen, I'm going to protect my players, and I don't care. It's like I'll throw down 75-year-old men that are coming after me. It's just he's like, you remember that. I have an arm too. I can hit some people. That was when baseball was good baseball.
Oh yeah.
I can't even imagine what it must feel like though to get hit with like 100-mile-an-hour fastball. I mean, I can't even imagine what that pain feels like. That's crazy to me.
No, it's the Field of Dreams quote, right? Like, look for low and outside, but watch out for in your ear.
Well, I've been hit by what 75, 80-mile-an-hour liners, and that stings enough. Like getting hit by 100 plus, I can't even. I wouldn't even want to even experience what that feels like. Like any part.
You see the stitches. You see the stitches in the mark.
You probably have stitches indented like a brand.
That's what I'm saying. You see the stitches in the bruise. That's how that comes. It hurts. It's ouch.
I feel like there's got to be some ribs broken at some point.
Well, I mean, I don't understand
how
some of these hitters can take like a 99-mile-an-hour fastball off the fingers when they're batting, and yet they don't have a broken finger. Like if I took a 90-mile-an-hour heater off the wrist, my wrist would be shattered.
Well, and they are going up there with a lot more battle armor.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, we're going to protect my ankles. I'm going to protect my wrist. I want to make sure it's not like I'm still able to swing. I mean, that's how Harper got hit a few times in the hands.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And just, it's not like he was trying to get hit like that, but that's what happens.
I think it was, remember Jack Wilson when he was with the Pirates? He was like their shortstop for a long time.
No,
I don't.
So Jack Wilson, one of Jack Wilson's final years in baseball was Aroldis Chapman's rookie year, and I remember Jack Wilson got hit like right in the middle of the back with a 104-mile-an-hour fastball, and they were asking Jack how it felt. He's like, I couldn't even stand up for 4 days. Like my back felt like it just seized up.
No, that makes sense.
Golly, that had to hurt so bad.
Yeah, no, that'd be rough.
At 105, 104 miles an hour,
right in the middle, like the lower back, so like right above like your hips and like right below the center.
You can't even get out of the way of them.
No, like that's what I'm saying. Like he tried to turn, and by the time like he turned, the ball was hitting him like instantly, and he's just like, you can't even stand up. Like you have to like get out of bed, crouched over, and that's how you're standing for like 2 days afterwards because of the pain.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, no ice bath is going to solve that.
Pags, Nick Sirianni, not to switch subjects real quick, but I do want to kind of follow up on yesterday. Nick Sirianni has come out and said that he cannot guarantee that AJ Brown will be back this year. Have you seen that one?
It's all banter.
You think that's all just banter?
He also said, I can't guarantee not AJ Brown or anybody else is going to be back next year. The way these are not my decisions to make. So I love it how they took that completely out of context and said, okay, now it's AJ Brown. It has nothing to do with AJ Brown specific. It had to do with like, hey, listen, everybody's got to compete for their jobs and stuff like that. Yeah. Nick Sirianni answered the question right. They reported it differently.
Do you
Well,
think, though, that gets into A.J. Brown's head, even though he probably knows that this play was taken out of context? Do you think that messes with the chemistry of the locker room in any way?
So
even though we went on these
AJ Brown had that podcast done during the Super Bowl. Max Crosby has bought a house in South Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I'm not sure what's going on. Can't speak intelligently. But the moment that occurred, A.J. Brown has been back on board. A.J. Brown is he has been looking for someone else to come in and help with the locker room. And not that he doesn't think that, you know what's going on with Jalen Hurts. It's just that I think Jalen Hurts is, like I said, I think he's different. I think he's more like Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers doesn't own a locker room. Like it was never his thing. He owned it in Pittsburgh, maybe. He owned it with the Jets, maybe. But I don't think he owned it in Green Bay, which is part of the problem on why.
I don't think he ever wanted to.
Well, that's exactly it. So I think that he needs some help. And that's part of what A.J. Brown has got going on. So it's like I think that some things got out of the locker room because there wasn't that inner circle helping. And he thinks that Max Crosby is going to be a good asset to that inner circle if he winds up as an Eagle.
I can see it.
It's not that Barkley's not a locker room guy. He just doesn't own the locker room like that.
No.
Barkley plays amazing, and he's a fantastic player. And, he backs up his teammates, but he doesn't own the locker room. It's just not how Barkley plays. You know what I mean? Barkley is a team player, he's a captain, but he's a captain because he plays great on the field, not because he is the guy in the locker room that you turn to.
Right. Wow. Yeah. How likely do you think it is that Crosby would go to Philly?
I have it at like 20%. Like a 1 in 5 chance is what I think.
Yeah, I think there's a really good chance he stays where he's at.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have a lot of new pieces coming in. They're going to have the ability to bring in a lot of players. They got cap space. They got picks. Like this is a team that can look wildly different going into this next season. Now, I don't think they're going to be great or winning their division or anything like that, but they could become competitive. And
so with the cap space that they have in the picks, like you said, you don't think that this could be a New England Patriots 2.0?
Not yet.
Well, no, because they're not going to have a schedule that it looks the way New England's did. But at the same time, I think they will be a wildly better team this year than they were last year.
And there's a lot of things going on in the division too, right? You got Patrick Mahomes shelved for half the season, so that means Kansas City's going to take a step back for a little bit. I don't know what the Chargers are going to do, but they have potential. And then you have Denver, who has a lot of potential. I could see the Raiders, if they put a good enough team together with the picks and the draft, that they could have the number 3 spot, maybe even the number 2 spot in that division. If they play it right.
They won't get the 2.
But you think that they possibly could get the 3, though, I'd imagine, though.
I still don't think they'll get the 3.
You don't think so?
I still think they end up in last place, but even at like 5-12, 6-11, that's a massive improvement from where they were last year. And like given the cap space that they have this year and what they would have next year, even 6-11 season this year is setting themselves up good for the future. Like they just got to. You have a first-time head coach and Kubiak going in there. Like he's going to have growing pains. He's going to have a rookie quarterback, probably in Mendoza. He still has a lot of weapons that he needs to get offensively. It's not going to be like this 1-year turnaround that some of these teams can do. It's going to be a 2 or a 3-year build for Kubiak to get that team where he wants it to be. That doesn't mean they can't be a better and more competitive team across the board next year, though.
I do like what Joe's saying. I don't always typically agree with Joe because me and Joe see things differently sometimes. But I do like the fact that if we gave up Pickens for Crosby, that would help our defense out, which is what we need. And then we could go get a Mike Evans. And but we were talking about this.
You would have to they're talking about giving him a franchise tag. I don't know that that's going to be the way that works.
Yeah, like it would have to be some kind of sign and trade for that to even work.
That's only basketball.
I don't think they were going to do.
Wow.
So
yeah,
they can't.
I think you could put Mike Evans opposite of CeeDee Lamb, and that would even be a good combo. You know, as long as Mike can stay healthy.
I think they're going to try and keep Pickens.
Right.
Yeah, they can't afford to let Pickens walk.
Yeah, I mean, he balled out in that situation.
Yeah.
So I think Pickens is probably going to want to stay, and I think Dallas is going to give him the money to do it.
And
that being said,
that's still going to be hurt.
Top of the show. If you are watching along, be sure to like and subscribe. Otherwise, we will see y'all tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take it easy, everybody.
peace.